Today, I'm going to talk about safety and lifestyle in Mexico. This is the third of 4 videos I'm releasing about moving to Mexico. So if you haven't seen the previous 2 videos, check them out. Now back to the topic at hand. Let's just get it out of the way and talk about crime in Mexico. In many ways, the United States and Mexico are married together when it comes to crime. Guns and money come from Mexico or come into Mexico from the United States, and drugs cross over the other way. For Ali and myself, we feel safer in Mexico than we do in the United States. And I know many people don't think Mexico is safe. But how we feel and how they feel is feelings. You know, it's exactly that. So is it really safe or unsafe for someone thinking of moving here? Let's get into some of the numbers. There are 1.6 million Americans living in Mexico. Another 36 million American tourists visit Mexico each year. Approximately 60 Americans are killed in Mexico every year, with the majority occurring in border towns. In Mexico overall, there are about 30,000 homicides per year. And in the United States, there are around 20,000 homicides per year. That puts both countries in the top 10 worldwide in terms of total number of homicides, but per capita, Mexico squeezes into the top 20 and the US drops down to about number 60. Neither is anything to write home about. Canada, you're under 1,000 homicides a year up there, so you got some work to do to catch up. So you got 340 million people living in the United States, 20,000 killed per year. That's like 1 in 1,000. 37 million Americans visit or live in Mexico per year. 60 are killed per year. That's like 1 in 100,000. In Canada, I think the homicides, it's like 2 per 100,000 people. And here in Mexico, it's like 3 per 100,000 people. So very similar as far as chances of getting murdered in Canada versus Mexico, I guess. On petty crime, I kind of look at it as it's pretty similar to the United States. You know, the pattern is it's more pronounced in the bigger cities and then focused more in lower income areas. And in our experience, the average person is pretty safe from being a victim if you just do a few things. Don't drink so much that you're falling over drunk in an unfamiliar place. You know, there aren't really any off-limit areas of Zihuatanejo, but some cities do have parts of town that are not safe for tourists. And until you become familiar with the city, stay in the tourist areas, especially at night. Don't try to buy anything illegal. Don't do anything illegal. Actually, it's probably a better way to put it. And then don't open yourself up to crimes of opportunity. Flashing a lot of money, leaving a laptop in full view in your car, an unattended or unchained bicycle, things like that. The only incidents we've had firsthand experience with here in Zihuatanejo is when friends have left their phones unattended in public places. Just a few minutes alone, and that phone may have a new owner. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about some of the safest cities to live in Mexico. CEO World Magazine ranks Mérida as the 2nd safest city in North America, after number 1, Quebec City. And it's the 30th safest city in the world. Puerto Vallarta came in at 107, 3 spots behind Boise, Idaho. And Querétaro came in at 118, 2 spots in front of Calgary. Zihuatanejo did not make the list, but we receive a lot of people from Calgary that visit Ziwa. So do you feel safer here or in Calgary? Puebla, Monterrey, and Cancun were the other Mexican cities that made the list. For foreigners, San Miguel de Allende and the Ajijic and the Lake Chapala areas are popular expat destinations for smaller cities that are safe. Outside of here in Ziwa, which has a small expat community, and the cities I've just mentioned, other popular places for foreigners to move include Mexico City and Guadalajara. Along with Monterrey, they have great healthcare options and hospitals. Mexico City, as well as Tulum, have seen some pushback from locals due to the gentrification of some neighborhoods, pushing out some long-term locals. As the big cities get more crowded and more expensive, it's probably going to continue to become less foreigner friendly, at least in my opinion. For a positive expat lifestyle, here are some other cities to consider: Playa del Carmen, San Cristobal de las Casas, and Guanajuato. When you're thinking of your healthcare while living in Mexico, you'll need to decide whether to maintain insurance outside of Mexico. I'm not going to try to explain the US or Canadian healthcare systems. If you have permanent residency and you live in Mexico, you can buy into IMSS, their public healthcare institution. Most cities that are popular with expats have good healthcare options, but the biggest cities generally have the top medical facilities. For us living in Ziwa, if we had a major medical issue, knock on wood, we haven't yet, thankfully, we'd probably have to travel to Morelia or Acapulco if we weren't able to just fly into Mexico City. In addition to safety, the expat community, healthcare, here are some other factors to consider as you narrow down where you want to live in Mexico as it relates to safety and lifestyle: climate, cost of living, infrastructure, proximity to an international airport. I think for where we are here in Siwa, the infrastructure and the airport are big pluses. We've had about 10 years now of good, reliable government investing in the roads and building a better city. If you work online, the electricity is reliable and the internet is fast here. And our airport is 15 minutes away. Flies to 4 other Mexican cities and a dozen destinations in the US and Canada. Another thing to consider in the makeup of the town is who will your tribe be, or who do you want your tribe to be? Here in Zihuatanejo, most of the foreigners we hang out with are older than us, and most of the Mexicans that we're friends with are a little younger than us, but it works out really well for us. Zihuatanejo, it's just not really a digital nomad destination yet that draws in a real young foreign crowd. You know, Ziwa, San Miguel, Lake Chapala, these are the retired expat cities. The digital nomads, they seem to go to Cancun and Tulum. But because we're more of a family destination, a retiree destination, the beach bars close down at like 7 p.m. There's a hidden benefit to that. It's really safe. There's not a lot of drugs and crime. If you ever traveled into a town and like every 50 feet, someone's asking you to buy drugs or harassing you to sign up for a tour or buy some crappy souvenirs, you know, or maybe they're saying, we don't want you here at all, then you probably would say to yourself that that's not a place to live. Other things to consider for lifestyle: cultural activities, museums, sports teams, concert venues, outdoors activities, hiking, and opportunities to get involved in the local community. Examples would be a local run club. There's organizations that help children in the community like Por los Niños. For us, the pickleball community in Ziwa has been really great. Allie's involved in a couple animal welfare groups. There are Facebook groups and meetups and Spanish classes and other things that you can do to meet people and cultivate a new life and group of friends in your new town. One more thing I'd like to add is that it's not recommended to drink the water anywhere in Mexico. So for your own safety, please add a water filtration system at your home or buy bottled water. That about covers it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.